Welcome everybody back again. Another great video. This time we're talking withdrawals in retirement, specifically common mistakes we see, what to avoid. Because we got lots of questions on withdrawals in retirement, so we'll tackle some of the mistakes. First one here, we'll jump right in, is people taking a set percentage from their portfolio.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're setting yourself up and you want to take a withdrawal or a set percentage. Often it could be 4 or 5% or whatever's sitting there. I mean, it's always a nice plan. It's the way things work, but it doesn't always work out the way that you want it to. I mean, you can skew how much you need in retirement that way. If you need $80,000 a year, maybe that's 4% or 5% one year. Maybe it's not the next year. Now where are we drawing from? Are we doing more along that line? The other factor is it's not really the greatest tax planning tool. If you're doing 4% a year and you're earning 4% a year, maybe you're not touching enough stuff. How are you ever going to get that out later in life? What's going to go on? Bad tax planning. And again, the other factor is 4%. Maybe that doesn't meet your needs. If you have other investments or things that don't work out as well, now you're taking, say, 7% out one year. That's going to skew everything along those lines. So taking a percentage is a nice idea, but doesn't necessarily always work out that way.
Yeah, and the idea of the fixed percentage, there's lots of ways we've seen this. Sometimes it is just a fixed number, sometimes the fixed number, but they'll add inflation to it every year. That fixed number is kind of the base. But like you mentioned, maybe a tax plan would be, one year I'm going to take 7% out. That extra will come from my RSP because it makes sense from a tax perspective.
Right.
Well, you don't have that variability if you're really set on a fixed percentage. And then skewing how much you need. You mentioned it there. I'm going to repeat it because this is a rule of thumb people use to say, all right, I need 80 grand and, got a fixed percentage. So I need to save $2 million.
Or else.
Or you might not need to save that much because maybe you get CP, you get OAS, you get other sources of income. You don't need as much from your portfolio. And then again, you could be spending some of that money down in retirement. So that fixed percentage might not be as applicable. So that's key reasons why that could be a mistake. Another big one we see, and I get this as an emotional item, but spending the government cash first.
Yeah, I mean, what we find is that you're looking at one of two situations. Everybody wants to take CPP. It's just, when do you take it? You either take it basically according to the charts. You're taking it at 60 immediately when you can get it, or then you take it at 65. As you can tell, rarely is it's from 61 to 64 anybody takes it. If you're not taking it immediately, you usually leave it to the average day and then you'll take it when you're supposed to. Very few people, less than 1%, actually take it at 70. So as we can see, it's an emotional thing. You want to grab aspects to that and hold it on and spend it when you can. Same sort of thing with OAS. You take it at 65, you can get it, you deal with it that way. Now, that's not necessarily the correct thing to do.
Yeah, every situation is going to be a little unique, but most often it makes sense for people to delay. Why? Because it provides an opportunity for tax planning. Let's say you delay your CPP and your OAS, and you have a longer window where you not getting those pensions, and you can take more from your RSPs. That would be a perfect example of how you could get a tax strategy by delaying the pension. But if you take it right away, you lose that opportunity. Another one, it provides a greater guarantee later in life. Because now you're going to get a bonus for delaying. You get a bigger pension down the road. That pension is going to be guaranteed. It's going to be inflation adjusted. So you have a little more security for the later years. So often some retirement worries, it's tax. That's a big one for everyone. Another worry might be, well, later in life, am I going to have enough money? Well, delaying the pension will give it help with both of those worries. So typically spending CPP right away, spending the government money as soon as you can might feel good, might be an emotional win, but it might not be a financial win.
Exactly.
And we get lots of questions just like the ones that led us to this video. So if you have a question, how do they get hold of us?
You go to chatwithclintonandkevin.com. By all means, if you have any more questions on mistaken withdrawals or any sort of withdrawals from your RSPs or RIFs, by all means, send them to us, or any other financial questions you've got. We're more than happy to get them back to you and answer them as quickly as we can. They do come to Clinton and myself only. They do not go to anybody else or a robo-advisor of any sort. So we'll get back to you as quickly as we can with those answers. Otherwise, besides that,
we do have a newsletter. It's a weekly newsletter. So if you like videos like this one, the newsletter is the same idea. Nice financial planning tips every week in your inbox. There is a link in the description. You can sign up using that. We're going through some common withdrawal mistakes that we see. We covered two. A third one, and this is a big one, a very common one. It's the intention of only spending the interest in retirement and keeping the principal of your portfolio intact. Part of it is reality is most Canadians do spend some of the principal in retirement. We've covered that in other videos. They might not spend all of it, but a chunk is very, very common. They might spend some of the principal. So try not to. As you mentioned, doesn't account for inflation, effectively becomes dynamic spending because the interest on your portfolio might change and then you'll have to adjust your spending accordingly, which folks normally don't like to do. You don't want to cut back if there's a bad year in the markets. And then missing the tax savings opportunities because that's really not part of the strategy.
No.
And normally this is kind of more born out of fear. The idea is I'm afraid I'm going to run out. I don't want to run out. So if I only spend the interest, I'll know at least I got my principal intact. I can fully appreciate that emotion, but there's better ways to handle that. Typically, we start by looking at the needs, how much money do you actually need in retirement, and you build a big plan around that. You can do lots of forecasts and stress testing to make sure the plan is accurate, as opposed to just simply following spend only the interest. And that leads
Yeah.
into some of our concluding thoughts here, some of the considerations.
Yeah, I mean, things that you have to really deal with is you need a current budget. That's one of the things that most people, you got to make sure that you set that up. You need to know what you're going to want in retirement. How much do I need? Is it going to be the same amount I have now? Is it going to be less? Am I going to be taking more trips? Anything? Having a budget and getting that ballpark figure, that's huge. So, I mean, if you're looking at, I need 80,000 between two people, there you can start. You can figure out all your finances and look at that sort of scenario there. And then, of course, you can build the plan to meet your spending needs and minimize your tax. So, how much am I taking out of my RIF? Do I have a pension? How much do I want for my government scenarios? All of those things add themselves up together, working on that. And what that basically means is you have a plan. You're looking at a Becker or mantra, have that plan, and then you're going to have to review this on a fairly regular basis.
Yeah, you're going to review because your spending patterns will likely change throughout retirement, which
Mhm.
is one of the reasons those other items, those mistakes we mentioned, also are issues because patterns change.
Yep.
But having that plan and reviewing that plan helps address that need. You like this video, the one on the screen right now about how to draw down your portfolio in retirement, will certainly fit your needs. Click on that guy.
Take care.